Hey there, this is Jack from Cult of Notion. Thank you so much for joining me today with this video. I hope that if you haven't purchased this template, this video convinces you you absolutely need it. And if you have already purchased it, thank you so much. Your support, seriously, it means everything, and I really, really appreciate you. And I hope this really, really helps you. I use this all the time to track my own business expenses for two businesses that I have, Neon Siren Studios and Cult of Notion. And so I hope that this keeps you sane and also prepared and confident going into tax season as well. So without further ado, this is the Advanced Business Expenses template. And as you can see, this initial page should be the first thing that you see when you download it. There's a little V1 here, and this is for version 1. When you purchase one template, I want you to have both the previous iterations of it and the current one. So that's what this is for, to let you know this is the first one. And of course, some information on me. Just please feel free to contact me with any questions or feedback. That's what this is for, to get a hold of me. Okay? So let's click into it. Let's get into this. Kind of simple, right? Well, it's not. Okay? This is a little bit different than the invoices template that you may or may not have seen. This one tracks your business expenses by year. This one page houses everything. So in the important template settings, we have a little new year business expenses. You're going to want to create a database, or technically it's a page that has a database inside of it, a lot of databases inside of it. You're going to want to make one for every year, okay? And then, so that's why this looks so simple, because everything's actually in here. But this general page is just to kind of help you get started. You have a little start here toggle with the walkthrough video that you're watching right now. Like I said, the important template settings, that literally is just going to have this button or anything else. And then the actual expenses here, I would drag, once you make one, I would drag and drop it down here. So then you have your various years there. But then when you're done with your years and you don't want them to take up space here, this is what this is for. It's just a little toggle. You can drag and drop it in here, so it's not cluttering up your view. And of course, delete this when you're ready. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of this thing, okay? Here we go. Now we're starting to see a little more complexity, right? Or at least some more, it's packing a punch now, okay? So this, like I said, is going to house everything. I'm going to do a quick overview so you kind of know what's going on, but I'm going to break it down in a second, okay? So for your reference, I try to include this with all the templates that I have when they have a lot of moving parts. This is to help you navigate a little bit better. Again, walkthrough videos will be in here, database shortcuts, and the editable templates. This is just to get to what you need faster, okay? That's what this is for. And then we have the actual template itself. We have a quick view. We have a lot of things going on here, but that's what this is for. It's to actually get sort of at a glance, see multiple things happening. Close this for now. We have a main view. And we have a bigger database here. We have months and quarter views, by month, by quarter. And then we have a tax center, tax payments, and withholding calculator. Then we have additional tools, and actually some of these are really cool. We have a mileage tracker, right? We have projected operational expenses. This is a separate database, very similar to the main one that you'll be using. And we have months, quarters, and years database. And then a wish list. But we're not even really scratching the surface. So that's just an overview. Okay, but we're going to go into the nitty gritty here in a second. I'm actually going to start with the for your reference. I'm going to open up these. Okay, because most of everything you're seeing here is going to be accessible up here. So let's actually take a look at this, the year business expenses. So again, a nice thing about having all of these available like this is it's very easy to just change the year. That way you have, you know what you're clicking on, but you can update this. So then when you search for it, you search year and the business expenses, it's going to be easy to find that. Okay. Boom. Here's a database. Why is it empty? Because we're in the ad view. So as you can see, there's multiple tabs here. We have ad, we have all, need to update, missing info. We have inactive, category, company, frequency, by month, projected, and then CSV export. Okay, let's go through all of these. So add, literally, that's exactly what it's for. It's for adding a new expense. So right now, the default, I believe, is a monthly subscription. And what do you know? It's telling me stuff already. I'm going to do this in a second, but I just want to go through every single view with you first. We have all. There is no filter here. You could add one. This is just to literally keep track of everything going on. We have a need to update space. There's a little indication here. This is add receipts. And I think you can see it better on this one. You can see there's the update status, need to update. This is to make sure that everything is accurate in a timely fashion. I hate keeping track of expenses. I really do. But I love that tax refund. You know what I'm saying? This is to make it as painless as possible for you in Notion. That's what this is. So you have two columns here, a need to update and then missing info. This is just to tell you, need to update is just to tell you that there is something going on. And it could be for one of two reasons. It could be because you're getting a little notification here that says something is wrong. It could also be that enough time has gone by to where this hasn't been updated recently enough. So this formula works two ways. It's trying to see if there's anything going on in terms of missing information that would need it to be updated. But it's also looking for when was the last time that this was edited and does it match your frequency? Because if it's been more than a month, it's going to come up as need to update. Even if this is good, even if there's no need to add receipts or to update an expense category, even if there's no missing information, if it's on a monthly subscription, right, and you haven't added a new month, I'll go over this in a second, that's what this comes in handy for. It's like, hey, it's been a month or it's been 6 months, it's time to update. Okay, even if there's no missing information, it's just to let you know. Okay, missing information is way more specific. So this is actually going through the particular subscription or purchase and saying, hey, we don't have an original payment date. We don't have enough receipts. We don't have any months, right? If we don't have a frequency selected, we need a frequency. This is telling you what information is missing. We don't have an expense category so that you can add it. And you're not like, what is the next thing I need to do? It's telling you what to do. So if I don't have enough receipts, literally I just click on edit. I can add a receipt and it could be anything. For now, I'm just going to choose a little artwork. And what it's doing is it's calculating how many files exist versus how many months exist. So, oh, it disappeared. Oh no, that's a good thing. That means that the receipt equals the months and it's no longer here. It could be in another section though. So that's why we have a little good thing here. That's to see, if there's enough information for everything. Okay, and as the new mouse pad, I just put that little receipt there. That's good. There's no more missing information. Okay, but if it was, accounting time, I would want to go through all of these and fix whatever's going on. And you might fix one thing. It might mean that there's something else that needs to be updated. Okay, so missing information is way more specific. Need to update is to let you know something's wrong, and it could be that you just haven't edited it soon enough. Okay, or edited it soon enough based on the frequency that you've chosen. Okay, Inactive is literally for anything that you've canceled or just stopped. Category is really cool. Category is for tax category. So you can add or change these as you want. I was basing it off of Intuit's, basically the categories that they had. But you can see how much that you're paying in each category. So when you do taxes, you're like, oh yeah, home office expenses was about $355. And you have like all your individual expenses. That's the cool thing, is you can kind of see by tax category how much. And as you can see, these don't have expense categories, and you would want to update them, which is why this also appears in missing info if they don't have an expense category for your taxes. So that's what that is. Category is tax category. Company, however, is the actual vendor or company that you're buying from. So, we have like Office Depot in here, Calendar, which is like a Calendly calendar thing, Canva, right? And this is really just good to see at a glance if you're paying one company a lot. So like if you have a lot of domains, for example, and you're actually not using them, you could see that, from a glance. That's what that's for. Just to see where your money's going, who's making the most money off of you. You know what I mean? Frequency, though, that is to basically just see how much is monthly or bi-monthly based on your drop down. If I click on this, for example, these are your frequencies here. Okay. So you pick one of these and it'll put them into here for you, so you can kind of see, okay, wow, monthly, I'm paying this much, or bi-monthly, I've paid, this much, right? By month, exactly what that means. Now, I've noticed sometimes with Notion, things can kind of get a little out of order. Okay, so even though I've actually put these in order before, sometimes in this view, how do I say this? When it's a relation like this, these months are a relation property, and it can kind of get a little wonky. So in this case, to clean it up, I would do layout, group, and then sort is manual. If we did alphabetical, I could, in theory, put a number, I think, in front of these to kind of help with this. Let me try it just to see what happens. So that works. So to kind of circumvent this, and I might actually include this in the template now, this keeps happening, but you can put numbers in front, and that will kind of help it when it's alphabetical to stay in the order that we want. So I'll adjust the template for this, but sometimes when it's picked on manual, it just gets jumbled up. I'm not exactly sure why. Haven't come across it too much in my setup, but the idea is that now you can see, okay, the sum for each month is added, and that's really, really helpful, again, for budgeting and whatnot. Projected is anything that you've checkmarked as projected. And why is this important? This is really good if you're trying to evaluate how much you've planned to pay for the year for different expenses versus how much you've actually paid in terms of, what you might need to estimate for the following year and your budget. So this is just a check mark. Okay, yeah, this is a known, like I knew I was going to have to pay for this. Anything that's a little bit more unexpected, but is still a business cost, you would not check mark. And this is just to help with certain calculations later on. CSV export, honestly, I've tried this multiple times, and Notion still kind of fucks it up for me. I tried to export just this view, and it really doesn't do that for me. However, what I have done is I've included certain things with a little CSV indication so that it shows up correctly when you're looking for a nice Excel spreadsheet layout type of ordeal. So when I select the property months, which is different from month CSV, right? When I show months, it's the same thing on Notion. But when I export it to an Excel spreadsheet, it does not look the same. This shows up as a link, whereas this actually shows up as a month name. So the idea here is that when you want to export it, you do have some formatting that's specific for exporting as a spreadsheet, so it's easier to see that in that format. Honestly, Notion's exporting functions have always kind of lacked a little bit, but I know that as time goes on, I know they're going to update stuff. And then just to kind of go into a little bit more about what's going on here, okay? I'm going to open up a subscription. And these are all the properties that exist. We've covered quite a few because the views depend on them. But like, for example, there's some other calculations going on, such as what quarters the month counts as. You have a days until renewal. And in this case, there isn't any, I think, because this is missing information. So the really cool thing about this template is it's telling you what information is missing so that it can also function. Not only is it telling you information that you're going to need because IRS, but also to make sure that you have enough information for the template to actually help you as it should. So this is saying to update the original payment date, I need to update it. So I'm going to change it to today. Or let me do May 1st. And now it's saying it's updated recently. There's still missing information though now. Now it's saying I need to add a receipt. So look how many months is coming up. Let's take a look into this. So you see how many months are being calculated here? In fact, it's saying, because of how many months are selected, it's saying that it's recurred 9 times this year. But I only have 4 receipts. So this add receipts is not going to go away until the amount of receipts matches the amount of times I have paid for the subscription. Why is that? The reason why is because I want to have enough proof that I've paid for this. So I want to make sure that I have enough receipts to account for the fact that this has happened for 9 months, right? So if I add 4 more, it should do that. So let me actually go ahead. I'm going to demonstrate that so that way this either it's going to tell me I'm good or it's going to tell me that there's more I need to add. So let's try that. So I've only added, I need to add 5 more receipts. So let's do that. And I'm just going to add, it's counting the file. Okay, so I'm going to add just multiple file of the same file just so that way this demonstration works. Look at that. There's no more missing information. And look at this. The receipt count is equal to the amount of times I've claimed, right, that it has costed me per year. Now, if I take away a month, oh no, right? I have more receipts than I have times per year. Now it's telling me I need to add months, right? So no matter what, if it's in equal, you should be getting a notification up here that's like, hey, you need to make this equal essentially. And then it's going to tell you, kind of give you a hint as to what part is missing. Okay. So that's what that's for. And that's how that works. And I'm actually going to add that month back. Next, we have a receipt location thing. And this is literally just to write down where you get your receipts. So, for example, I have some subscriptions that email me a invoice and receipt every month. I have others that I have to go onto their site and download it. And that's what this is for, is to tell yourself, your future self, hey, you have to go here to find that. That's what that's for. We have a last payment date and a next payment date. These are really helpful, again, for just tracking what's going on and when. Now, there's one caveat that I had when I was making this template, and I will very much try to fix this as soon as I know how to. But there's an issue where I was trying to implement frequencies, right, that were a little bit more abnormal, not just your normal like month, quarter. I didn't just want that for this template. I wanted more. You know, I sound so greedy saying that, but I wanted flexibility, okay? So I wanted to, add a bi-monthly and every 6 month options, right? Well, in doing so, the formula I was using wasn't working correctly for bi-monthly and for every 6 months. And I'm still not sure why. But in order to circumvent this, what you have to do is once 2 months are up, so let me do There we go. So once 2 months have happened, right? And, it's past May 1st here. So 2 months has already happened. We have a need to update indication and update original payment date. This is not going to go away until you've updated the original payment date because, as you can see, the last payment date and next payment date, this hasn't updated. The next payment date isn't May 1st if it's past May 1st, right? The next payment date should be 2 months from now, May, June, July, right? So it should show July 1st. It's not going to show July 1st until I change this. So I need to change it to May 1st, and all this says it's okay, and this is accurate. It's the only caveat, but I figured for bi-monthly and every 6 months, that's not too bad. It's something I can deal with. That is something you have to take note of when you're keeping track of stuff. The other really cool thing here, though, is we have a days until renewal, and it's only going to show up when that's applicable, right? So if there's no recurring date, it's not going to show anything here, or it'll say NA. But otherwise, it'll tell you how many days until something renews. And then, of course, we just have edited and created. Those are for, again, helping the formulas work, actually. And we also have, I think I kind of touched on this, but the quarters and year, these are roll-ups. These are not part of the database. You can't edit this. You have to go to the separate database to do that. And it's kind of really cool when it all works together, but I'll show you in a second. Okay. So we only just covered the business expenses one. So we have several more to do, and then I haven't even really touched on the templates. Let's talk about the months and quarters, and then these will become a little bit more, these will make sense. So here we go. The months and quarters database isn't super complicated in itself, but it does help the other template run. So if I actually delete any of these, it's going to fuck with the other template. So months and quarters, it really is what it is. It's months and quarters, but it's really nice to see things at those glances. So I can do a quarterly view, and then I can also have things like this. I can also do a monthly view. I'm going to duplicate this. Now, I will say some of the videos that I recorded have actually been before I've made these templates public. So there's going to be a couple adjustments you'll probably see me making. This is because I haven't even made the template public yet. I'm trying to have everything, including this walkthrough, done so that way when you get it, you won't have any issues, okay? There we go. So in this original database, now we have a monthly view, and we have it so it's sorting as it should, which is really driving me crazy, but it happens, and it's okay. So now we have a monthly view that's with this default database. I had it already for a view, but now I have it in the original database. So now whenever you duplicate this, or linking to it, I should say, you'll have this accessible as well. So again, you can see by month what you've been paying. That's what that's for. Okay? So pretty simple, but it actually really does control most of the business expenses template. Okay? Especially in terms of timing and making sure your receipts equal the amount of months. Next, we have quarterly tax payments. This is very simple as well. But again, you can house and keep your documentation. So if the IRS comes knocking, you can keep your confirmation documents for when you've actually paid your taxes, the amount you've paid, when you paid it, and of course, check it off once it's done. So you're not worried about that anymore. And then we have expenses overview. So if I click on this, again, kind of simple, but this is literally an overview to kind of keep track of what the other databases are telling you and to see how over budget you are, what your taxes are looking like overall, what your profit is based on the taxes paid and actual expenses too. That's what this is for. It's a quick way to see it. And again, all this stuff is going to be housed a little bit better, or presented, I should say, better in this section. But this is to quickly access it so you can change your template and stuff as you want. So I'm actually going to do this next, and then we'll go through the rest of these, and then we'll actually walk through this whole view, okay? So these editable templates are the different types of purchases you can have in the expenses. So this, for example, is just basically a single one-time purchase is what it's for. And that's the only default information it has. It's just to quickly give you a different type of icon, and frequency is set to one time. You can change this depending on what you want to see. New monthly subscription, same thing. You have a different icon and also different frequency already pre-selected. So you just have to fill out the original payment date, base cost, and if you've already paid certain months and had the receipts for it. New yearly subscription, same thing. Already has the frequency of yearly selected. So next you have the quarter months. So what this is it actually color codes. One thing I like to do is I like to color code the quarter with the month that it belongs to. So for all quarter one, if you want it to be blue and you want it to have a little blue icon, that's what that's for. When you make a new when you make a new month, you can have a little template that will convert it to the color and the stuff that you want. That's what that's for. So, for example, in the months and quarters view, you can see in by months, we have blue, 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 green, 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 purple, purple, right? So for every quarter, there's a color. That way it just kind of keeps things really clean when you're looking at it from different views. And your eyes immediately know, oh, yeah, there's 3 months there, 3 months there. You know what I mean? So if you want to change those colors and those icons, that's what that's for. So we have a few more databases to go through. We have tax deadlines and a few other ones here. So let's check this out. So the tax deadlines, again, is actually not something that you're really supposed to mess with too much. This is a database that automatically tells you, based on some formulas, when certain dates are coming up. So if I go to all, you're going to see the different quarters, and they're coming up based on which one is next. So 3, 4, right? Then 1, 2. And of course, tax day, April 15th, that also comes up. So this is just to keep track of when your next due date's going to be, or I should say probably better, the end of a quarter is coming up, and also when April 15th is coming up, since that's kind of the normal tax day. And if, again, as time goes on and certain things change, I'll update this accordingly, but it will probably be in like a version 2, version 3. So then we have databases that are more for you to actually tweak. We have a mileage calculator. This is truly just to keep track of if you are being compensated for your travel as a business owner or freelancer, if you're visiting clients or you have to go to their homes to perform your services. That is what this is for. I can add a new journey, add my reason for travel. Say I went to Superman's home and I needed to fix his suit. And I did that today. The start odometer would be close to this one. And, we put a lot of miles on it, okay? He lives really far away, right? We go 3,000 miles, and that's the compensation I'm looking at for putting 3,000 miles on my car, right? But you can see this is very, very handy if you're traveling a lot and you want something to keep track of those trips. And then projected operational expenses. What is this? This is kind of what I was talking about earlier, where in the main business expenses database, you can check off when something is projected. That's kind of what this is for, okay? This is to set up your year or your quarter or what have you, to kind of figure out what you think you're going to need. Now, it's simpler than the expenses database because it's not about tracking what you actually paid for. This is an estimate. So we have an estimate, for the expense category, the actual purchase or subscription, the base cost, and then the frequency is manual. You just put in how many times a year you think you're going to spend on it. So it's 3 times. There you go. And then the total cost per year and any notes for that. So this is simpler. There's also a little total by category. But otherwise, this is mostly for planning your year. So if you have like a bunch of stuff that you know you're going to spend, you can kind of put it here. And then as the actual year goes on, you would want to track it in the business expenses one. That way you can have your receipts and everything, so you're not worried about having enough documentation. We have a tax withholding calculator. Now, I actually have a separate template for invoices and income, and if that's more your speed, that actually includes a little bit more in-depth ways to keep track of your taxes. But let's say you want to make just quarterly payments and you know what your quarterly income is, you can keep track of that here. So let's do, right, $10,000. I have it set up so it's taking away 30%, and you keep the 70%. Now you can change that just by clicking in here and changing the 0.3 to, 25. If you want to be really, really aggressive, 50, right? You can change that. So whatever you change here will affect the total, but it's actually, you don't have to update this. It's just taking away from this column here. So it's a pretty simple formula, but I'm going to keep it at 30% for now. All right. And then we have a wish list. So this is kind of to keep track of the things throughout the year that maybe you're mulling over and don't want to just impulse buy, especially if it's a bigger investment and you're doing research on it, but you know it's going to be considered a business expense. This is to keep track of that stuff here. So, maybe you have stuff that you're going to buy, or you're only researching right now, right? And you can have, different priorities. You have like an estimated cost, of course, URL, if you have a product you're looking at, if it's been purchased, if it's been added to expenses. This is cool because it kind of tries to reiterate the fact that you want to keep track of everything, right? So let's say I purchased it, right? And it's saying, this is saying I need to add to expenses. Once I click this, we're good. It's not going to tell me anything. If I haven't purchased it at all, it's not going to tell me a single thing. If I purchased it, it's going to tell me to add it to expenses. And then once I've said I've added it, it's going to put it in archives. And then there's a section just for what's been archived. So that kind of covers both the templates and the shortcuts. Let's go over, this is the main part that you're probably going to be using most of the time. So we have a quick view. This has everything you need to see at a glance. So anything that's missing info, right? You can see it very, very quickly. You could add your mileage right here. You could add a new expense right here. This is for quick access, for immediate, okay, these are the subscriptions that are coming up. This is my overview. This I need to update. And of course, upcoming deadlines. This is basically everything you need to see in one toggle is right here. So you have different views for your subscriptions. You have everything categorized differently for what's missing in terms of information. And of course, you have your expenses overview. We've touched on every single one of these databases, right? This active subscriptions is not a different database. This is the same as your business expenses, but it's a different filtered view of it. Isn't that cool? So there's only these many databases, right? But these are the different kind of views. You can see the information differently as you need to. So this is a filtered view of your upcoming subscriptions, okay? So you can see your recent payments, right? And your last payment date, which is why you want to update your original payment date and make sure that that is accurate. Because if it's not, then, your recent payments aren't going to be accurate, right? So updating certain things means that everything works well. It's really just about updating. And a lot of these things are really easy to update. I like being told what I need to do so I don't have to remember it. So that's what this template does. It helps you know what's missing so you're not having to go in and look for missing data, okay? So this is your quick view. And again, your expenses overview. Very just easy to see everything that's important, right? Or add new information that's important. Then we have a main view, which is probably more of a long-term, if you're kind of going to spend a few hours, you might want to have this open but we have everything you've seen before. This is the original database actually right here, and it's not a shortcut. This is the original. So if you want to edit this, it's going to edit the original database. If you want a new expenses overview, you can, click on this. You have your tax deadlines, everything you need, but filtered down a little bit more. So that way you're not overwhelmed with a bunch of stuff, but you have different views. That's going to tell you a lot of what you just saw up in the quick view. We have a months and quarters view, which is, again, the same thing as before. Everything that you're seeing here, you've already seen. Is just different ways of looking at it to make it easier on you. Tax payments. So the only difference here is that we have some buttons here. So if you click this will take you to the IRS payment portal. This doesn't have a link on it, but if you press Command K, right, you can copy and paste your state's payment portal here. So you have your IRS taxes for federal taxes and the state taxes in one place, and you can keep track of them all here. It's a designated tax center just for your tax payments and tax withholdings, right? We have a withholding calculator, the same thing you saw. It's the same database. And of course, the additional tools, the mileage tracker, projected expenses, months, quarters, and years. This is the original database here. Whereas this is a view. This is the original database. Okay? And then the wish list. And the cool thing about this view of the wish list is you have, if you actually want to include some Amazon links or something similar to that, you can do it right here. You kind of have it all in one section. So the thing about the database shortcuts is these are great to click on to what the original database is, customize it so it's got your accurate year, any default templates that you want. You can make those changes. But then this is the way it's going to be presented most of the time when you're working on stuff, if you'd like it to. You can always change it, but that's what this is for, is to make it so it's very easy to see exactly what you need and keep track of everything, be on top of it, right? So that is the advanced business expenses template. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope if you've considered buying this, that this is the selling that you need. I really don't like to sell in terms of what I think of it, which is kind of manipulating people emotionally or what have you. I like to see what people do, see if it's worth my time and my money, and I hope that this is it for you. And if you've already purchased this, look, I hope that this was so helpful to understand the depth of the template. And if you have any further questions or concerns or comments for me, please DM me on Twitter, hit me up at cultofnotion@gmail.com. Whatever you need, I'm here. I want to hear from you. I'd love to hear from you. And so I think that's it. But like I said, I'm available. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for checking this out. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I'm rooting for you always. Good luck.